hair. My goodness. Well, everybody look like that now, right? Because you find that Paul Burson, right, he writes that many of them always have kinky hair. It depends with the reason they was in, and some had straight black hair. So all they have, but they had what? The Negroid what? Features. How many of you know the story about the Tasmanian people? You had a cartoon called The Tasmanian Devil. Well, you was making a joke about a black race people who was killed off at $50 a head because the whites who was going there to try to settle in the area would run them off of cliffs in droves like cattle to kill them out so they would not have no presence in the land. But just like Johnson grass, you can't get rid of blackness. It shows up somewhere. It repeats itself. You can't get rid of it. Now, Cole, why are you so hung up with that? Because the fact of it is, if you look at things, we don't have to chase after reparation. We got to become now what? Indigenous people. Why is that important? We're going to tell you about all this history because we're going to go to it. There is, from Cornell Law School, on the word Indian and the definition of the word Indian. Most folks think it means the red man and the Cherokee, but this was a white man, and my boy DeWalt say his nickname was some people based on what he thought. But in the U.S. law, Title 25, it reads, and Tyler, I'm going to read and see what it says. And why am I doing? Because you're talking about making changes in your life. If you understand the law and what's been said in the Constitution and how to address it, we can make changes right now. But you can't keep chasing these whip cookies. Look what it says.
In U.S. law, the term...
In what kind of law?
U.S. law.
Not in your personal public dictionary because they got a... my boy, man, because they got a dictionary where they define it ain't like yours that you have in the public. You know, when you walk in their courtroom, their dictionary don't read like your dictionary. It don't mean the same thing in their court that it means in your circular world, right? But we went to their library and see what it says about the word Indian.
In U.S. law, the term Indians refers generally to the indigenous peoples of the continent at the time of European colonization.
Wait a minute. So if you was already here when the white boy showed up, everything that was here looked like what? Was called what? Indian. That's right. Which means you was indigenous to the land. So you ain't got to go look at some foreign land, but you at home. If we learn to appreciate our black presence all over this globe, then we have to sit around and wait to go to one particular place. You're going to have to sacrifice yourself into one little cranny because you own what? The whole damn planet belongs to you. There's no way that you are not, and you was indigenous to it because they had to recognize the fact that you what? Was there. What did the natives say? Look at me here. Chapter 2 of they came for Columbus. They came for Columbus, but I haven't been certain. We're going to go to chapter 2, and I want you to read from chapter 2. These books you can get here at Black Images Bookstore. I encourage you to get with Sister Otosha Way and Sister Ms. Rogers and get the book. Chapter 2. Get to chapter 2, and it talks about. Let me slow down. Everybody all right? Is everybody all right? All right. Okay, well, everybody's saying that, but I like my oh, I'm bored yet. They said they'll walk over the counter. Somebody lead him outside spanking. You know better than that. But we're going to go to chapter 2.
Could you please say that in Chinese?
Yeah. Let's go to here, and we're going to chapter 2. Here we go.
What's that? My light and stuff?
Yeah, that's something, but we'll get there in just a minute. The visible witness. They call the visible witness. Please read it from the Cape Book along by Iron Sermon, chapter 2, what it says.
What, right here?
We'll have highlight right there.
Okay.
Visible witness.
The visible witnesses. It is in contradiction to the most elementary logic and to all artistic experience that an Indian could depict. Okay, here we go. Indian could depict in a masterly way the head of a Negro without missing a single racial characteristic, unless he had actually seen such a person. The types of people depicted must have lived in America. The Negroid element is well proven by the large Olmec stone monuments as well as the terracotta items and therefore cannot be excluded from the pre-Columbian history in the Americas.
Who said that?
Alexander von Wathenau.
Now, Von,
That's German.
that's a German. That's a German. He's talking about what he saw and how they described us. We was already what? In the land. These majestic black men was already in the land. Wisconsin is named after a black chief who was a black man who had been accepted and was honored as a chief.
They call them the Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah, okay.
That's what they call it today. And then you have the Delaware Moors, which is another Indian tribe.
And we go on
They're
there.
called an Indian tribe today, but they weren't always. That whole area was Moors.
Another thing we want to look at, remember, while we're talking about this, is now, and this is no attack, but it made me wonder when and I've taught this for many years, that 100 million black people belong to the Middle Passage. And then we begin to do the math. What was the largest seafaring vessel that could it possibly happen? Or did we miss something? Not saying that there wasn't no slaves brought over here, because it was. But guess what? Slavery was not indeed the one people, it was a lot of people, because we're going to find out from J.A. Rogers' book, African Gift to America, that you had many blacks who owned white slaves. Uh-oh.
Pass a law so you can move.
I will get there. People like Roger Johnson, who imported, we ain't got to talk about it. Let's let the book talk. Why are you saying, because I want you to see something. If that's the case, then I got to go to the Constitution and see why you chasing for reparation when you can actually become tax-free, period. If you claim your what? Your national what? Heritage. And without due process of law, is that right?
That's correct.
Let's go to my good old boy here, my Dr. J.A. Rogers, and everybody knows J.A. Rogers is a noted historian. And I have to go here and bring him up. He talks about a lot of these things. Why do we not recognize the fact that, and now they down in South America, down in, what is it, Guatemala and the Yucatan, trying to tear that all, because black folks are now beginning to migrate back into that area. Brother Tyrone, this is African Gifts to America by J.A. Rogers. This is page 60. I want you to read on page 61 at the very top.
Early Virginia Negroes bought white people.
What? What'd you say?
Early Virginia Negroes bought white people.
Will you please read?
Finally, Negroes bought white people in America as early as the 1640s.
Oh.
The United States Guide to Virginia says, in the 17th century in Virginia, Negroes used to import white servants and receive head rights to land.
Mm.
One of them, Richard Johnson, imported 2 white servants and received 100 acres of land on the Pontchartrain River. In 1651, Johnson imported 11 and received 550 acres adjoining. About 1650, Benjamin Dole imported 6 and received 300 acres in Surrey County.
Mm-hmm.
While others did the same, about 1650, when Johnson's house was destroyed by fire, and he claimed that he and his wife were inhabitants of Virginia, for 30 years, he was freed from country taxes.
Okay. Go to the bottom, and the bottom, it's the very bottom here.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia, as we see in Henning statutes, passed law 5 times prohibiting the purchase of white people by free Negroes. Act 5, 1670 reads, no Negro or Indian.
What? No what?
Negro.
It said African American, did it? It says no Negro.
No Negro or Indian, though baptized and enjoying their own freedom, shall be capable of any such purchase of Christians, but yet,
Wait a minute. Christians meant what?
So
White
Christian-
folks.
So Christian is different than being baptized.
According to the record.
Baptist. Sounds like-
According to the record.
Huh?
So the shooter cracked up. Say what? Whoa, wait a minute.
a Baptist.
Read that again.
Let's go back to the beginning on this here.
Read that again.
Virginia, as we see in Henning statutes, passed laws 5 times prohibiting the purchase of white people by free Negroes.
Uh-huh.
Act 5, 1670
Okay.
reads, the Negro, no Negro or Indian, though baptized and enjoying their own freedom, shall be capable of any such purchase of Christians, but yet not barred from buying their own kind.
And by Christians you mean?
By Christian was meant white.
So if you say you're a Christian, I mean you gotta be white.
That a Negro was a Christian made no difference.
Made no, never mind. Uh-oh. So you telling me you're white, right? Now, when you want the etymological understanding of the word Christian from the word Cretan, get the word Cretan, which means what? An idiot or a fool.
Yeah.
And that's without the French accent.
And that was our French, because in France, the word Christian means fool. Why did you go there? Because everybody wants to be a good Christian. Now what tact? You need to look at etymological understand where the word comes from, what it means. Why is it important to us? Well, I'm trying to find my paperwork here, and I had it, I just laid it down. Because if you, yes, that's what I'm looking for, exactly. If, according to the U.S. title law, that the word Indian applied to anyone that was in the land, when the Europeans showed up, we got proof we was here, what, 70, 100, 200,000, 300,000 years? Don't ain't got to go to the millions before the white boy showed up. Then, let's go to the Constitution of we the people and see what happens. Will you please read Amendment, 14th Amendment, and see, most folks don't do this. You have about the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, but they're in what? Sections. You must read each section, know what they're talking about, because they explain what they're doing by sections. Okay? This is the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. This is Section 2. Will you please read that?
Section 2. Representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, counting the whole number of persons in each state, excluding Indians not taxed.
Hold it. So now, according to that, if you're Indian, why are you paying taxes? According to the law. But that ain't enough. You please read the top, the second title part of that, where it says Indians. The very top. Yes.
See also Seltzer, excluding Indians not taxed, federal census, and Native Americans in the 19th century.
Now, if what they telling you that far back as 1555, on a good ship called Sweet Jesus and the John Baptist of Luxor, blacks were brought over here as slaves. But in the New York Times, which people say, my boy Doc Ben said, in the New York Times, God has spoken. I happen to have an article, a 1993 cut from, will you please read it, say at the very top, the 1993 headline out of New York Times.
Africans enslaved 1 million Europeans.
When did they do it? Will you please read that?
An American historian says that more than 1 million Europeans were enslaved by North African slave traders between 1530 and 1780.
Hold. Between what? 1530 and when else?
1780.
In 1780. So what happened in 1555 boat trip? Then wait a minute. And I'm almost coming to close. If this be, and I'm not knocking the slavery thing because it happened, but it wasn't all over the planet. It wasn't all over this land. Go on in certain areas. Blacks, now, if we was in slavery in 1555, or in 1619, and according to the customary state was created, what, 1776, the war? Okay, I have here a man by the name of John Hanson, who was the president of the colony of the United States. I happen to have some colony of the United States money right here. Thanks, Brother George, for Zephaniah. And y'all want to see these real coins? These are the real 13 original coins. And I also have the United States coin book to back it up that these are authentic. These are what John Hanson was using. When you read about John Hanson, start at the very top. Matter of fact, go to the letter. I want to go to here's the letter. A handwritten letter by George Washington. Please read that in the blue. Here, if you want to take a look at the coins, you got to bring them back. This is George, and they're valuable. You want to see these coins? They're right here. and the book.
This is a handwritten letter dated 12/1/1789 CE, Christian era, to Emperor Muhammad III of Morocco, from the 9th President of the United States.
From who? The 9th President.
George Washington, apologizing for the non-receiving of the regular advices tribute. The picture below is of Emperor Moulay Arshid of Morocco from 1676 CE. See the newspaper article and other works of U.S. Senator Charles Matthias.
Okay, now go now. Yes.
The English, French, Dutch, Danes, Swedes, and United States all paid tribute
To this black man.
to the Moor Empire as documented in the book entitled U.S.
More
Barbary
empire.
Powers.
Where's the document of that?
U.S. and Barbary Powers.
U.S. and Barbary power. So people, we wasn't helpless people. We had power. We just, we fell for the okie doke and jumped on the pity wagon, give my 40s, my million and PSR, I was enslaved. But all of blacks were not what? In slavery. Now here's John Hanson on the back of the $2 bill. The first president of the United States was a black man. Now you can disagree with that all you want to, but they got documents on it. And matter of fact, let me go get my $2 bill. So if you say that ain't true, give me $2 bill out and pack it. We got it right. Look it back and say he said right there in the mist, because he was the one that supplied George Washington with 800 pounds of silver, of sterling silver, to buy shoes for the troops. Will you please read? Start at the very top. Yeah. Start right there. Yeah. Start right. John Hanson, bring it over. Start right there and go down the line. Start right there.
The first 8 presidents of the United States
the first 8
were as follows: John Hanson, Richard Henry Lee,
black,
Elias Boudinot,
black,
Thomas Mifflin,
black,
John Hancock,
Chinese.
Nathaniel
Chinese. Hold on. According to Brother Jamal, our brother, Washington, he said that John Hancock had what? Chinese ancestry.
And they were here.
And they were here.
That's right, they were.
They were here.
The reason we're here is that the white man, when he was selling people over, he sold a Chinese princess into slavery into Mexico.
Okay. He
It
was
was a Chinese princess. They were, as a matter of fact, the Cherokees had been entrusted with Cantonese gold
right.
in a place called Echota today, which is called Georgia.
Right.
And they took all the gold for the black Cherokees who were there. It's gone.
Will you please proceed?
John Hancock, Nathaniel Gorham, Arthur St. Clair, and Cyrus Griffin.
Okay.
George Washington was a general in the Continental Army whose budget was set by the Continental Congress.
All right.
The reason these facts are hidden is because the first 8 U.S. presidents were of Moorish ancestry.
Of Moorish ancestry.
See Benjamin Banneker's almanacs and the U.S. Archives for documentary evidence of these facts.
Okay. Proceed.
George Washington was the first president of the United States. In fact, the first president of the continental United States was John Hancock. Don't go checking the encyclopedia for this guy's name. He is one of those great men that are lost to history. If you're extremely lucky, you may actually find a brief mention of his name.
John Hanson .com. They said he was a myth. Is this a myth? You put myths on the back of $1 bill. I mean, $2 bill back to his brother. That's legal currency. Today, keep reading to tell you what happened, what went on. And we're going a little bit further.
The new country was actually formed on March 1st, 1781, with the adoption of the Articles of Confederation. This document was actually proposed on June 11th, 1776.
You bet in the black circle. Go ahead.
But not agreed upon by the Congress until November 15, 1777. Maryland refused to sign this document until Virginia and New York had ceded their western lands.
Okay.
Maryland was afraid that these states would gain too much power in the new government from such large amounts of land.
Okay.
Once the signing took place in 1781, a president was needed to run the country. John Hanson was chosen unanimously by Congress, which included George Washington. In fact, all the other potential candidates refused to run against him, as he was a major player in the Revolution and an extremely influential member of Congress. As the first president, Hanson had quite the shoes to fill.
Okay.
No one had ever been president, and the role was poorly defined. His actions in office would set precedent for all future presidents.
How they do us, put us out there first in front of the gun. Keep going.
He took office just as the Revolutionary War ended.
Mhm.
Almost immediately, the troops demanded to be paid.
Where's
As
our
would
money?
be expected after any long war, there were no funds to meet the salaries. As a result, the soldiers threatened to overthrow the new government and put Washington on the throne as a monarch.
King George, King Washington.
King Washington. All the members of Congress ran for their lives, leaving Hanson as the only guy left running the government. He somehow managed to calm the troops down and hold the country together. If he had failed, the government would have fallen almost immediately, and everyone would have been bowing to King Washington.
So the black men saved the country.
Hanson sent 800 pounds of sterling silver by his brother Samuel Hanson
Who?
to George Washington
By his brother who? Samuel Hanson. To George.
to provide the troops with shoes. Hanson, as president, ordered all foreign troops off American soil.
Wait a minute. Hanson got all the foreigners off the land. How'd they get back on it?
Washington.
All right.
As well as removal of all foreign flags. This was quite the
Bad.
feat, considering the fact that so many European countries had a stake in the United States since the days following Columbus. Hanson established the Great Seal of the United States, which all presidents have since been required to use on all official documents. President Hanson also established the first Treasury Department, the first Secretary of War, and the first Foreign Affairs Department. Lastly, he declared that the fourth Thursday of every November was to be Thanksgiving Day, which is still true today. The Articles of Confederation only allowed a president to serve 1 year.
You only got 1 year. Still all be winning because they get corrupt after a couple of years.
During any 3-year period, so Hanson actually accomplished quite a bit in such little time. 6 other presidents were elected after him: Elias Boudinot, Thomas Mifflin, Richard Henry Lee, Nathan Gorham, Arthur St. Clair, and Cyrus Griffin, all prior to Washington taking office. So what happened? Why don't we ever hear about the first 7 presidents of the United States? It's quite simple. The Articles of Confederation don't work well. The individual states had too much power and nothing could be agreed upon. A new doctrine needed to be written, something we know as the Constitution, and that leads us to the end of our story.
That is. Now, as we come to a close, like there's a lot of information, there's a lot more than this. We're trying to condense it because the story, we're on the story time, we got a late start. We need to investigate a group out there called the Washington. You may have heard of them. They was one of the ones that happened to have a seat in the United Nations, seat 215. They're the one that fought and stood to regain their land. And matter of fact, I want you to read this article right here, if you don't mind, Brother Tyrone. I call this "We Are at Home." Let's start right there. We're gonna wrap it up, and I got one more pyramid. There was 120 pyramids in America, in the United States alone, and they managed to destroy most of them. Matter of fact, they was called a few years ago in 1993. Was time the argument came between the northern part of Illinois and the southern part about moving the pyramid from the north part to the southern part. It was a place called Little Egypt. Y'all know what Little Egypt is? And you got Memphis, you got Cairo, all over here. All over, and it's funny, many of the cities you find over in the east are already over here. Doublets, Athens, Georgia, Athens, Texas, Athens, Russia, Greek, Rome, everywhere. You got doublets. So the thing is, why are you trying to run across over yonder and you ain't taking no business right here? One thing I found out, if I want to keep you lost, keep you looking away from what I'm doing, watching this hand, while I clean the other pocket out with this hand. Otherwise, while we're chasing one thing, we're losing where? On the home front. We got to realize that no matter where we put our feet as indigenous black people, it's what? Ours. And we need to act like it's ours and what? And run the business that Yah the Creator gave us, because Yah is the what? Is the anthropic permutation of all existed in the universe. You can't get beyond that. It's the energy that moves everything. Without it, nothing moves. And we was chosen by that energy to represent that energy on the planet. And why we messed up? Because what? We're so out of balance. We're busy chasing this foreigner, this alien being. We ain't got a clue. And my brother said one day, we were trying to work in his timeline, not in ours. His time walk is not our time walk. So we're having problems. So we're getting what a negative response not so come because it's not what we're used to. It ain't in our DNA. It is not us. And we're out of control. And that's why the earth is having problems out of the universe. We've had, since the first of the month, the new moon, we had a full moon every night. Have y'all noticed? You ain't noticed the full moon every night? That's unusual. Every night. In July, you had full moons for about 9 days, and people went crazy. The Hezbollah went to fighting with Israel. Kids started killing up one another. People went crazy. And when full moon's out, people get what? Ignorant. Fools come out when the full moon come out. They said the wolf, the beast. Only the full moon does the werewolf come out. But what's wrong? Nature trying to tell us, trying to bring things back about. You of Negroid ancestry, you don't be ashamed of it. You might not like it. You might not call it anything else. But then let's look at it. How strong is it? What does it really mean? And why is it in the book that an answered people shall teach others the way? That's Isaiah 40, 44, 42, I mean 44 and 7. 42 and 7. They said, I would go to the ones who know, and they will teach you of what? Of me. Somebody get that Isaiah 44 and 2. Somebody get that right quick. Is that? Finish reading that while we get there.
Descendants of pre-Columbian blacks in the U.S., Caribbean, Central America, and South America in the fight for the return of their stolen occupied lands.
What? In the fight for the stolen occupied land. Read.
In the midst of the reparations debate, the issue of returning the lands of these blacks whose ancestors were here in the U.S. and Americas before Columbus has already been done with one black nation of the Louisiana territories.
Right.
The experience of the Ouachita Nation of the southern United States is another piece of solid evidence for the fact of pre-Columbian African presence and settlement in the Americas, specifically in the United States. According to an article carried in the magazine, the Freedom Press newsletter, spring 1996, reprinted from Earthways, the newsletter of the Sojourner Truth Farm School.
Okay.
The Ouachita were and still are a nation of Africans who existed in the southern U.S. and Mississippi Valley region long before the 16th century Europeans arrived, and even before there were Native Americans on the lands the Ouachita once occupied and still occupied today.
Keep reading.
According to the article, the Ouachita Nation governed 3 million acres of land in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Mississippi. They were shipbuilders, similar to the Garifuna of the Caribbean, who are also of pre-Columbian West African Mandinka Muslim origins.
Okay, keep going.
What is even more fascinating about this aspect of the history of blacks in America before Columbus is that the Ouachita Nation was known and recognized as a separate, independent black nation by the Spanish and French, who were in the Louisiana territories and Texas areas. According to the present leader of the Ouachita Nation, when